Ladies and gentlemen, the Durham Pro Special Counsel obtained testimony that's far more important than a conviction of Michael Sussman. When people say, people who watch the Durham Probe or media that wants a special counsel to just be dissolved and end, when they say, well, it was a failure, they don't understand. Ladies and gentlemen, Rome wasn't built in a day, but also this was a concerted effort, also by media, to accuse Trump of something he didn't do. So when you have highly intelligent, morally superior liberal Democrats saying that Trump is the epicenter of corruption in the known universe, they can't indict him or charge him on anything, especially not conspiring with another country to defeat Clinton in 2016. The people who started the investigations into Trump did so because they obtained information from the Clinton campaign and used that information as justification and as a way to legitimize politically motivated probes into Trump. The Mueller probe was completely politically motivated. The ODNI and DHS reports compiled by James Clapper and John Brennan were completely motivated by going after an incoming candidate at the behest or with the tacit approval of an outgoing President Obama and an outgoing Democratic administration. Now, John Durham stated, last month we advised the Inspector General that we do not agree with some of the report's conclusions as to the predication of how the Federal Bureau of Investigation case was opened. John Durham and also the Bureau launched an intrusive investigation of a U.S. presidential campaign on the thinnest of suspicions that, in my view, were insufficient to justify the steps taken. That's William Barr. Now, William Barr and John Durham opposed the IG report stating that, well, they couldn't find any documentary or testimonial evidence that Crossfire Hurricane or any investigation into Trump was based on politics and not simply altruism or a focus on national security. It is not national security. It is not national security if one political side accuses the other of being installed by another country. That's not national security. That's a very nasty form of politics where you have political operatives in the government investigating somebody on the thinnest of suspicions. So suspicion alone is not enough to get a special counsel or to get a bureau investigation. If that were true, you would have investigations of the Clintons every single year because there's enough suspicion. Half the electorate is very suspicious of Hunter, Mashed Potato Brains Joe, both Clintons, most Democrats, almost all Democrats. Okay? Very suspicious, but that doesn't mean you justify endless investigations. They did that because they had media. Democrats were able to accomplish this because they had willing participants in media knowingly pumping lies or half-truths or lies by omission. The Steele dossier was completely fabricated, yet it was published as if it was raw intelligence. Hunter's emails were actually legitimate emails, but they were viewed as an effort by another country, yet again, to deceive the American public into thinking that Democrats are corrupt, when in reality they are. The epicenter of corruption is the Democratic Party. It used to be the Republican Party 20 years ago. Now it's the Democratic Party. But hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel below in the pinned comment and the description section. 600 points down today. The Dow's going to go way below 30,000. NASDAQ was down 300 points. NASDAQ will go far lower than it is now. The S&P will decline. And they're all, oil is at $120 per barrel, 8 to 9% inflation, GDP, negative GDP for 2 consecutive quarters. We'll have a recession. We'll be in a recession officially as interest rates increase. So you're looking at easily 20 to 40 point decline in the S&P, 2,000 more points down in the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones will get far below 30,000. And then Bitcoin will crash to below 10,000. So subscribe to the Bitcoin crash to 10,000 or lower channel. Subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. I have a segment on the 600-point drop today, and I'll have a segment later this evening as well. So I'll have 2 segments on the Stock Market Crash channel. I'll do a segment on the Bitcoin Crash channel below as well. Become a member of this channel. Share this segment everywhere. Let's get to 200,000 subs, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to support my work, my Patreon is below. People, the goal of the Sussman trial was that he obtained testimony from Robby, Mook, and Marc Elias. The goal was to get on record that Hillary Clinton personally approved something, that she was involved. There hasn't been anybody under oath stating that Clinton was personally involved. Now, again, I want a Hillary Donald Trump 2024 or Hillary DeSantis 2024. I want Clinton to be the nominee again and to do. We need to do 2016 over again because it has to happen. We have to exercise those demons for a number of reasons. But here, Sussman Durham trial. Marc Elias says he briefed Clinton campaign officials on Fusion GPS Oppo against Trump. This is knowingly false information. They obtained and obtained the Steele dossier and then disseminated the Steele dossier into government agencies. This is not conspiratorial nonsense. It is literally like in the trial transcripts and testimony. We know now that Hillary Clinton personally approved plan to share Trump-Russia allegations with press in 2016. Robby Mook says. That's a CNN article. And I read a New York Times article, Barr and Durham publicly disagree with Horowitz report on Crossfire Hurricane. Okay, so you have a New York Times article, a CNN article, Fox News article. This is public record knowledge. The goal of the Durham probe is not to get an attorney, an unknown attorney that is really meaningless in the overall scheme of things. He's part of a concerted effort, fine. But to get him on one count of lying to the Bureau, when the jury actually was in somewhat correct in that James Baker wasn't deceived. Of course, Sussman did lie, but the text message wasn't allowed to be looked at really by the jury because it was obtained. They couldn't get the superseding indictment because of the statute of limitations for that specific indictment. But 18 U.S. Code 371, there is no statute of limitations that they have to worry about. If people conspire to defraud the U.S. government, there is no statute of limitations. Or the statute of limitations is years away. And so the Durham Probe Special Counsel is about indicting people like Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, Hillary, all of those people. It's not about getting a 1-month jail sentence for Sussman. Somebody we didn't really know about. We had no idea who this man was. So the whole point of the Durham Probe Special Counsel is to show the world that there was a concerted effort. He did that during the trial testimony. He got Robby Mook to say Clinton personally approved giving false information to media, which in the overall scheme of things is not legal. You can't simply do that while at the same time pushing and fomenting or starting a government investigation. You can't get the United States government to be an extension of the Democratic Party, which is what they did. Taxpayer dollars should not be utilized to investigate Trump at the behest of Democrats. And that's what happened. That's what Durham is trying to find out. That's what the special counsel is trying to find out. That's why they pushed back on the IG report a couple of years ago. And I hope that my viewers understand this is a lot more important than just when people say, oh, well, you know what? There'll never be any justice. There's no justice. Well, Trump won. He defeated Clinton. So he won in 2016. The system wasn't made for that. So, amazing things do happen. All of media serves as an extension of the Democratic Party. They lie by omission. They've lied by omission for 4, 5, 6 years now. It's not the media it was even in 2015. And you have government agents who are now either disgraced or fired from the bureau, you see Andrew McCabe. It's actually tough to dislike Andrew McCabe. It's easier to dislike Comey than Andrew McCabe. I look at him on CNN. I'm like, I can't dislike this man, really. I don't know. He just it's easier to dislike Strzok and Comey or Brennan or Clapper, but there's something about Andrew McCabe. It seems like he's like maybe a nice person. Seems like a nice person. I don't know. Maybe there's a character flaw in me. Obviously, like, I know that he lied to the Bureau, and I know that he tried to set up and frame Trump, and I know that he was involved in likely criminal activity that the Durham probe special counsel is investigating and expanded to investigate with the testimony of Mook and Elias. Okay, but you look at these people, and I look at Andrew McCabe on CNN, I'm like, he seems like a nice person. He seems like a good-hearted, nice person, but then you realize that they're all actors. And the public facade, they were actors when he was an actor, when he was testifying that, it's a national security issue. These are all actors. That's why Hollywood and Washington and politics have merged. There's no difference between a Hollywood celebrity and a Democratic politician or Republican politician. Never Trumpers are a little less. They actually believe in their policies a lot more than Democrats, but there are actors. I'm sorry, Trump Republicans. But the Never Trumpers are actors. The Trump Republicans, a little less. They're not as much. There's not as much acting there because they actually do believe in the policies, which are good policies, like good economic and foreign policy. That's why people don't understand, like, why would you vote for Trump or Trump Republicans? Like, well, I don't want the Lincoln Project to run America's foreign policy. The Lincoln Project is embedded within the Democratic Party. The Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld people who want never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts to send Americans, 18-year-olds, overseas, and also not allow 18-year-olds within the United States, but have no problem with American 18-year-olds in foreign lands. And I'm speaking in roundabout terms for YouTube guidelines, but here, that's the state of our country today. And hit subscribe to this channel. They've expanded the investigation because of the testimony of Mook and Elias. Anyone who really understands politics can see this. And just tell your friends, or if you talk about the Durham probe special counsel or whatever, it has expanded. It's not like it wasn't a monumental defeat. Fine, you didn't get the conviction, but the conviction really wasn't what this trial was about. The trial was about getting Mook and Elias to testify against Clinton, which essentially they did. That's never happened before. Hillary has never been. People have never testified against Hillary ever in a court of law. Okay, then that happened. Again, I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024. I'm just saying. That has never happened. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back in about a couple of hours. Go to the Stock Market Crash channel right now and go to the Bitcoin Crash channel right this second. The Durham probe is still as important as it was before the acquittal of Sussman. It's about the testimony. It's not about the conviction of an attorney nobody knew about for one count of lying. Because it's impossible to lie to the Bureau. Everyone there was working for the Clinton campaign, essentially. Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, all of them were basically working for the Clinton campaign. It's going to be very difficult to accuse them of lying. Now, 18 U.S. Code 371 is a different story. They're a lot closer now because of the testimony. Hit subscribe. Thank you.